Kawhi Leonard got $28 million for doing absolutely nothing. No ads, no appearances, nothing. But now, under pressure, Kawhi has reportedly gone further, snitching on the Clippers and exposing a scheme bigger than anyone imagined. The shocking part is that his own testimony could trigger contract nullifications and wipe out the Clippers' future. Let's break it down. The bombshell investigation. On September 3, 2025, investigative sports journalist Pablo Torre dropped what might be the most explosive basketball story in decades. After 7 months of reporting and reviewing over 3,000 documents, Torre uncovered what appears to be a sophisticated scheme involving the Los Angeles Clippers, their billionaire owner Steve Ballmer, and a now bankrupt environmental company called Aspiration. What has never been reported, though, until today, is the most important, most highly paid endorsement deal they signed, which was more than 4 times the combined value of every other celebrity. And that endorsement deal was signed with one of probably, I would say, the worst pitchmen when it comes to good athletes in America, and it's Kawhi Leonard. The company behind this scheme was Aspiration, which was funded to the tune of $50 million by Steve Ballmer, who happens to be not just the owner of the Los Angeles Clippers but the richest owner in all of sports. The timing of this deal is absolutely crucial to understanding why this might be the most sophisticated salary cap circumvention scheme in NBA history. Now, what makes this story even more incredible is what Torre discovered about Leonard's actual work for this environmental company. When asked if there was any proof that Kawhi Leonard did any work to earn that massive $28 million, Torre's response was devastating. "That's my favorite part," he said. "Because typically in a story like this you say, okay, there's no evidence, and that's a problem. Here, the absence of evidence is kind of the evidence. He was signed to a $28 million endorsement contract and did nothing. Nobody has proof of anything that he did. 0 things. No likes, no retweets, no posts, no tree plantings. This was a company that was supposed to plant trees to zero out your carbon footprint and help save the planet. Kawhi did nothing that anyone could find." Let's break down the timeline that makes this so suspicious. In August 2021, Leonard signed a 4-year, $176.3 million extension with the Clippers. Now, this contract was actually considered below market value for a player of Leonard's caliber, which gave the Clippers additional salary cap flexibility. Just 1 month later, in September 2021, Ballmer invested $50 million in Aspiration via his LLC, Polpat. But wait, it gets even more intricate. Also in September 2021, the Clippers announced Aspiration as a founding partner for their new Intuit Dome Arena in a $300 million, 23-year sponsorship. Then, in November 2021, Leonard's LLC KL2 Aspire was registered in California. And by April 2022, the 4-year, $28 million endorsement deal was activated. What makes this arrangement so potentially devastating for the Clippers is the structure of Leonard's endorsement contract. According to Torre's investigation, the contract included clauses allowing Leonard to do nothing yet still collect payment. More damningly, the deal would void if Leonard left the Clippers or retired, essentially tying this massive payment to his continued employment with the team. The implications of this story extend far beyond just Leonard and the Clippers. This appears to be connected to a much larger fraud scheme that has already resulted in criminal charges. Aspiration's co-founder Joe Sandberg pleaded guilty in August 2025 to wire fraud involving over $248 million, and the company filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in March 2025. What's particularly fascinating about this story is how it connects to Leonard's past behavior during free agency. According to Torre's investigation, this pattern of seeking no-show jobs isn't new for Leonard's camp. During his 2019 free agency negotiations with the Toronto Raptors, Leonard's uncle and advisor Dennis Robertson sought no-show sponsorships and ownership stakes in external companies. The key difference? The Raptors declined these demands, but the Clippers appear to have accommodated similar arrangements. The scope of Torre's investigation is truly staggering. He didn't just rely on documents and bankruptcy filings. He interviewed 7 anonymous former Aspiration employees, including one who spoke on the record with a voice modulator. When asked directly about Leonard's involvement with the company, the employee's response was damning. "Did you ever see proof of Kawhi Leonard marketing or endorsing aspiration in any way?" Tor asked. "Never. Not once," the employee said. "The single largest payment to an individual for marketing that aspiration ever made has completely evaded all press. It's honestly incredible. Nothing. He didn't have to do anything." In other words, Tor said, Kawhi Leonard got from aspiration a $28 million no-show job. "Yeah, it's amazing. I'm honestly so jealous," the employee replied. This isn't just about one player or one team. The potential ramifications for the NBA are enormous. Under the 2023 collective bargaining agreement, violations could lead to severe sanctions, drawing parallels to the 2000 Minnesota Timberwolves case involving Joe Smith, where 5 first-round picks were forfeited. What makes this story so compelling is that it perfectly encapsulates everything we know about Kawhi Leonard's personality and approach to his career. Stephen A. Smith, never one to mince words, had perhaps the most brutal takedown of Leonard's character in relation to this scandal. "Let me say this," Stephen A. began. "First of all, I'm going to always give Steve Ballmer the benefit of the doubt. Having said that, let me tell you what really stands out to me and why I said, believe it or not, some of this is believable. Because there's a sentence in here where it says the deal was with Kawhi Leonard's company KL2 Aspire LLC and included clauses allowing Leonard to do nothing yet still collect payment. That's the Kawhi Leonard I know. Doing nothing and getting paid for it." Stephen A. didn't stop there. His commentary perfectly captured why this scandal feels so believable to anyone who has followed Leonard's career. "So when I saw this report and it said money for doing nothing, I said that's what made me pause. Not because of Steve Ballmer, not because of the Clippers, because of him. Because if there's a way for this brother to get money guaranteed without working, that's what that brother has done." The beauty of this scandal, if you can call it that, is how it perfectly aligns with Leonard's established pattern of behavior throughout his career. This is a player who has built his reputation on being the ultimate professional when he's on the court, but someone who has consistently found ways to maximize his earnings while minimizing his actual work. To understand just how deep this rabbit hole goes, we need to examine aspiration itself. This wasn't just some fly-by-night startup. Aspiration was founded in 2013 by Joe Sandberg and Andrew Cherney, positioned as a sustainable fintech company focused on tree planting and carbon offsets. By 2021, the company had raised $865 million and reached a valuation of $2.3 billion. But here's where the story gets truly wild. The fraud at Aspiration wasn't small scale. Federal investigations revealed that 80 to 90% of their claimed $865 million in raised funds stemmed from fabricated letters of intent. Think about that for a moment. This company was essentially built on lies from the ground up. And somehow Steve Ballmer, one of the most successful businessmen in history, got completely taken in by it. When the scandal broke, Ballmer's response was swift and definitive. But watching his interviews, you can almost see the gears turning as he tries to distance himself from what appears to be an incredibly embarrassing situation for someone of his business acumen. "Let's talk to the fans," Ballmer said. "We signed that deal with Kawhi before any of this. Before Kawhi even knows these people, we've signed our deal. That's high integrity. We made our deal with Aspiration. Literally, I had no control over the company. Even when I invested, I think there was somebody who put in 6 times as much money as I did." But here's what makes Ballmer's response so interesting. He's not just denying knowledge of the scheme, he's positioning himself as a victim. Throughout multiple interviews, Ballmer has consistently maintained that he was defrauded by Aspiration, stating, "They conned me." Now, let's be real here. Steve Ballmer isn't just any businessman. This is the former CEO of Microsoft, a man with a net worth of approximately $120 billion. For someone of his caliber to claim he was completely unaware of a $28 million payment to his